My name is Megan Carger, and we're here today with the COTO Report, and we're in Australia with Max Igan, filmmaker, musician, and non-violent non-compliance guru. So I'd like to welcome you today to our show, and good afternoon, Max.
How are you, Megan? Nice to be here.
Nice to be here as well. So I wanted to ask you how it was that you got into the filmmaking, and what your motivation for that was, and then we can go on a little bit and discuss some current world events and what's going on in the world.
Well, in the filmmaking department, it was a strange thing, really. I'd been trying to get the word out to people for a long time. I'd had a 9/11 Truth site, and I'd had a bit of vague stuff on the Crow House. And then a friend of mine showed me a film he'd made on the Bali bombings, and I thought, wow, YouTube. I never thought of that because YouTube had only been around for probably, I don't know, maybe 2 years at that time, and I'd never really looked at it. I sort of thought it was more of a teenage thing. But then I saw how easy he'd put a slideshow together and put some dialogue over it, and how impressive it was, and I thought, well, I can do that. So I made the big picture, and I thought, well, I just wanted to have a say. I wanted to have a voice like everybody else, basically. I thought, well, I've been researching all this for a long time, so I could make a film and just put it out there, and hey, there you go. That's my opinion. And it just got amazingly popular all of a sudden, and I thought, well, this is working. So I put out the global non-compliance film, and it sort of snowballed from there, really. It was all, I don't know, I never planned on doing it. I've got a radio show, and I never planned on having the radio show. I never planned on being as public as I've become. I never thought I would. It was just have a go, put it out there, have a say, get out there and have your say, and just try to wake people up in your own way. And here we are.
So you have your radio show, which is Surviving the Matrix, and your films, and the book that you've written as well, all of which can be accessed on the Crow House at thecrowhouse.com. And just tell us a little bit about the book that you wrote.
The book is on ancient history. That's kind of what got me into all of this sort of stuff. When I was 8 years old, my mother told me about the pyramid, told me that no one knew how they built it. And that was it, I was hooked. As soon as I found out that, I put all the comic books away, and I was into the encyclopedias. I just had to know how they built this thing. And I just never satisfactorily found out. So I just used to, it was a hobby for me, getting into all this ancient mystery stuff. And the more I got into it, the more I began to understand that everything that they've told us about history is wrong. It's all, what they tell us is basically fabricated, or it's hearsay and theory. And I began to wonder why they would do this, why it would be so important to not allow us to access our true history. So I got quite involved in it from there, and it became a little bit more than a hobby. I was a musician for most of my life, so I used to tour around a lot, so it used to give me access to different libraries in different towns and different places. And so I used to use the time, the travelling, to go and research all this stuff in different research sections in libraries all over the place while I was doing it. And it became a little bit of an obsession for a while. But it got to a certain stage where you think, well, how long before I start telling people about this? You can only collect information for so long, and eventually you have to do something with it. There's no point having lots of information so that you know more than everybody else. It doesn't really work, So you have to get the information out to others, because I became to see that this was important information. It was important for people to understand what our true history is, because I think an understanding of history will give us a better perspective on the future, because history repeats itself frequently all the time. And it just intrigued me why they would do this, why they would go to such incredible lengths to hide our true history from us. What were they trying to hide? Why would it be necessary for anybody to do this? So that's what the book's about, actually. It's just about presenting a different perspective of history and questioning why the people who are in control of the planet at the moment would choose to hide this information from the masses.
And then, of course, as you researched the history, you came more and more to understand what the mechanisms of control were, and why these people were doing what they were doing, and that led you then, I guess, to the politics, and then making the films, which is exposing what's going on, the agenda of the New World Order, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at ancient history, when you start looking at all this stuff and you start looking at the pyramids, I mean, the research takes you through all different tangents. And, if you start really looking into ancient history, eventually you're going to start looking into ancient religions. You start looking into that, you're going to move into ufology and start investigating UFOs and all this sort of stuff. That's going to lead you to secret underground bases. That's going to lead you to government conspiracies. And the whole thing does a full circle. You realise that it's all connected. The whole lot of it's connected. It's just one big conglomerate of lies that's been presented to us. And you begin to see that it is all connected. So anybody who researches into this stuff is ultimately going to go down in that direction. And once I got to a certain point, again, you begin to think, well, how long before you start telling people about this stuff? But I still sort of plodded along. It was sort of interesting, and I was researching. And then September 11th happened. And when September 11th happens, it kind of jolted me into wakefulness. To hang on, you can't just be looking at this stuff. You need to be telling people about this stuff, because it started. This is the big end game. We've all been saying that the Illuminati or the Masters. I mean, the Illuminati could be anyone. The Illuminati is whatever you want it to be. Really, it's the controllers. Whatever the controlling hand is, that's the name we give it. I defy anyone to be able to name who the actual controlling hand of the Illuminati is. But whoever it is, that's the hand that everybody refers to. So we're all expecting this event. We're all expecting this big end game and this big world takeover for world domination, and where everyone's talking about it for years and years. But when September 11th happened, it became obvious that this is it. This is the big end game. This is the start of it. And when you looked at all the symbolism around September 11th, an incredible amount of symbolism, numerological symbolism, the use of the number 11, all sorts of things. You begin to clearly see that this is an event that's been planned. It's a staged ritual event, and it's leading up to the end days that these people are creating. I mean, that's what jolted me into wakefulness, really, and I really started going hard, hitting forums and getting leaflets out to people and just talking to everybody I could. And then, as I said, I discovered YouTube and went through there. But that was like 5 years after the event, 6 years after the event. So it's kind of snowballed since I got onto YouTube, really. But that's basically what the website's all been dedicated to. The website, the Crow House, actually started off as an art site. I was in a game clan with my son, and my name in the clan was Scarecrow. And I used to make signatures for people and do a bit of artwork. So I thought I'll open a website just for my friends, basically. And it got to a stage where I thought, I can't just have art on here. I have to let people know what's going on with the world. So I started putting all of this other stuff on there when I started making the YouTube films. And now it's just snowballed. And I've just had a friend in England actually open up 5 mirrors of the Crow House. So it's on 5 different servers all around the world now. So it's going to be very hard to ever pull the website down. And I've had other people download the entire site and make it into a torrent, so the whole site can be downloaded if it ever gets pulled down. And it's really reached a lot of people. I'm amazed actually at how many people I've managed to reach with just this small website and just doing these few YouTube clips. But the whole thing I was trying to say to people is that you don't have to be somebody, in inverted commas, to have a voice. Anybody can have a voice. You just have to be willing to speak out. And if you speak from your heart, people will most likely listen, and I'm living proof that they will.